What is going on, guys? Matt Downs with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports here to give you the edge for this Jaguars versus Bengals showdown slate matchup on DraftKings. Cannot wait to break it down. If you guys are brand new to this channel, we provide both free and paid content for all daily fantasy sports across all sports. If you could please show your support by hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, and of course smashing that like button for all of our future NFL content. If you would like to know more about becoming a better DFS player and taking down that big GPP, head over to www.dgfantasy.com. On dgfantasy.com, we give you cheat sheets for every major sport, along with ownership projections, actual projections, and strategy for every single slate. We also cover optimal cash plays as well as preferred GPP plays and stacks for specific contest sizes. We do the dirty work for you. We are also currently partnered with Fantasy Cruncher, the best optimizer in the industry. When signing up for our $30 package, you also get a $20 credit to use towards any Fantasy Cruncher product. We provide the best value in the industry. And now let's go ahead and dive right into this Jaguars versus Bengals matchup, TJ. No, I'm honestly, no, listen, before you say anything, I regret doing this video already. We haven't even started talking about it, and I already regret it. I completely am 1000% ready for the next 15 minutes to be a roast session, and I am here for it, TJ.
No, I'll be good.
46? Okay, good, because I'll do the same for you for Sunday Night Football. So, for this matchup, though, it's a 46 over-under. This is Jacksonville at Cincinnati, so Jacksonville is a +7 underdog against Cincinnati.
7.5.
Is it now? Okay. Fantasy Cruncher didn't update yet.
71% of the bet on the Bengals, -7.5.
Yeah, for any new watchers here, I am a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, but I will keep the bias out of this. We're going to break this down. Like we always talk about here, TJ, our defense is viable for this contest. I like starting out there because it gives us a good idea of what to expect for this slate. I will say that kind of both are in play, but more so the Bengals. Bengals are definitely in play here because Jacksonville only is a 19.5 over under. Honestly, I might just include the Bengals defense in my player pool if I'm playing this slate for real, which I will tomorrow. And I do think they are a viable option. We've only seen one defense make into an optimal so far, and that was the Panthers. And this could easily happen again. And I'm speaking on just behalf of the featured main slate, or the featured showdown slates, rather.
Right.
All right, so let's go ahead and dive right into the CJ. Let's start out on the Jaguars side since they are the away team. Let's start out here at the quarterback situation. By the way, for anybody watching, we also have ownership projections for you. Thankfully provided by Fantasy Cruncher a night before. So Trevor Lawrence right now, 31.8% TJ, 10.4K, which actually isn't too expensive here. Is he a cash option?
Yeah, I think he's an option for sure. It's been a little bit of an up and down year here for the #1 overall pick. Just in terms of production, obviously he threw for 332 yards in that loss against Houston. He's 0-3. His first 3 losses ever, I guess ever in his life, right? He never lost in high school, like middle school, whatever it was, college, obviously. So I think this is a new experience here for Trevor Lawrence. I think he is in play, Matt, at 10-4. I think you're gonna have to wait to see kind of what your builds look like. I wouldn't call him a necessity. But yes, I definitely think he's a cash option.
I do too. The one thing we've seen with Trevor Lawrence, at least I have seen, probably the only Jacksonville Jaguar fan left, is that he's not afraid to chuck the ball down the field, which is something we like to see from a DFS perspective. He's also not afraid to throw touchdowns and interceptions at the same time to whichever team decides to catch the ball. So we're going to see that a lot here as a rookie quarterback. And just in general, if the Jaguars are going to keep this close and if they are going to somehow win this game, it's going to be specifically through Trevor Lawrence. So yes, I don't think you need him for cash, just the way that builds are kind of coming out here. But if for GPPs, make sure that be overexposed, TJ, because 31.8% is actually pretty low for a person that's supposed to be throwing literally near 90 to 100% of the game here. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but yeah, over 72% of the time here over their average. So I really do like Trevor Lawrence here as a last piece in cash. I don't hate him as a fade, but in GPPs, honestly, I do like him a lot more just to be overexposed to that in terms of game script. Switching over to the running back situation, the very first game, we didn't know what to expect out the gate, and we saw that Urban Meyer ran with Carlos Hyde a little bit more than he should have. James Robinson also in the mix here, has been more productive as of late. Of course, last game he did surprise, dropping 25.4 DraftKings points, picking up where he left off last season. And this offense at $9,400 at 29.7%, TJ. Is he cash viable, or is Carlos Hyde cash viable?
Yeah, so I mean, Robinson, yeah. So the one thing that really stuck out to me, Matt, obviously he did look pretty good last week. He only played 59% of the offensive snaps, opposed to Carlos Hyde playing 34% of offensive snaps. But hey, I don't care how many snaps you're going to play. If you're going to get me 25.4 DraftKings points, like I'm all for it.
He did get 6 targets too and 6 receptions.
Yes,
that's another
exactly.
thing.
And that's big. You know, we love seeing those targets for the running backs. 9,400 is a really steep price tag here for James Robinson, but I think you can go there and cash again. Kind of like we were talking with Trevor Lawrence. I wouldn't call him a necessity, but I think you can go there. Carlos Hyde, 1,800. I have some more interest in some of the cheaper wide receivers here that we'll get to shortly, but I guess I don't hate him as a last piece. Again, not a necessity, 18.8% ownership. So I think obviously I'd rather have James Robinson over Carlos Hyde, but at 1,800, like Carlos Hyde looks like a pretty good price tag to me.
I think he looks like an excellent price tag, and I honestly think, TJ, he's more cash viable than James Robinson. Okay, James Robinson has more upside, don't get me wrong, and I do like him as a GPP play, but Carlos Hyde at $1,800, again, making, I'm a stat guy, just converting this over to a DraftKings points, 3.6 is all he has to hit. And again, he's hit 4.4. He dropped a dud against Denver, but Denver's a really good defense. And then 7.8 could, hit around that mark of 3.6 and make for a very good value play. But James Robinson, I think, is more of a GPP option than a cash option, TJ, the way that these builds are going to work out.
Yeah, so the one thing that I would potentially get worried about is we know that James Robinson would more so be that pass-catching back.
Yep.
The Bengals right now, Matt, are top 5 in yards per attempt in terms of rushing defense. They're giving up 3.3 yards per attempt, which is, like I said, you got the Panthers number 1, Saints number 2, Bucks number 3, Browns number 4, and then you have the Cincinnati Bengals. So the run defense for them has been pretty good to start the year, which is something I am worried about. But like you said, yeah, I don't hate you for. Oh, I don't hate you. I don't hate that take.
You do, but yeah.
Well, I do hate you. Yeah. Carlos Hyde 1,800. Like I can get behind that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's move on to the wide receiver picture here. We have Marvin Jones, who has been playing the most snaps, DJ Chark second most, and then Shenault playing the third most. So the pricing makes sense here, TJ. 31.8% for Marvin Jones has been the most involved. I think that's, that's not even up for debate at this point. It's been seeing consistent targets every single game. DJ Chark has definitely been hit or miss at 7.2K, and then Shenault 6.6K. Like I said, these price tags make sense. And then Agnew at $1,200 really hasn't been playing that much other than his phenomenal punt return we saw last game for 109 yards, tied the NFL record. And then that's it. There's a huge drop off. These guys really aren't playing outside of those three rather. Who are you prioritizing if you are anybody here for cash?
Now, Matt, real quick, just a quick correction there.
Okay.
That was actually a missed field goal that he brought back for the touchdown.
Oh, yeah. So, sorry. Did I say punt?
I forgot. Yeah, because I watched the game. And
you can't bring back a punt return there for 109 yards. That wouldn't make sense.
Right. Yeah. But Marvin Jones is obviously the guy that I'm looking at. He's been the most consistent guy here to start the year with Trevor Lawrence in a game where they are predicted to, play from behind here. He's got 2 touchdowns, didn't score against Arizona, but still had 8 targets. He's got 28 targets so far in the year, Matt. Found the end zone in his first 2 games. So yeah, if I'm going anywhere, like I do want to pay up for Marvin Jones. DJ Chark and Shenault have been really inconsistent so far. And I just think Marvin Jones, even though he's $1,400 more than Chark and $2,000 more than Shenault, like he is the guy that I feel more confident in. I think he has the highest floor out of these 3 wide receivers. You mentioned Agnew. Like I don't have any interest in any of these other cheap Jacksonville guys. Whenever they go 3 wide, it's Marvin Jones, Chark, and Shenault. Treadwell is the next guy for you guys that has played the most in terms of snaps, and that's 16% on the year. So I think if you're taking anybody, it's one of those 3 main wide receivers, and Marvin Jones would be the guy for me.
In order, I'm prioritizing Trevor Lawrence for cash, and then Marvin Jones, and then probably James Robinson, and then Carlos Hyde in that order. If I had to make a tier list there, but yeah, Marvin Jones is by far my favorite option in terms of cash here from the Jaguars, other than Trevor Lawrence. Let's switch over to the tight end picture because this tight end picture is actually pretty interesting. We saw Jacob Hollister step in for O'Shaughnessy. He's $1,000, played 68% of snaps last game. But guys, guess what? We probably made one of the worst trades I've ever seen as a Jaguar fan here. Getting Dan Arnold. He might play, might not play. We don't know yet. I've looked up every article. I've tried, digging up some info here. We don't know if he's going to play yet. And this is being recorded as of Wednesday night at 6:54 p.m. EST. So if there's anything that I hear, I will pin a post in the YouTube comment section below. Dan Arnold, $4,400. We know that he's heavily involved in the passing game, which is why they have him now. If he does play, he's an okay play at $4,400. We have no idea what he's going to look like. I probably would avoid him outside of bigger GPPs, TJ. But if he does not play, we have Jacob Hollister staring at us. If he's playing 68% of the snaps, I know you have the exact routes run stats in front of you at $1,000. I feel like that's the most obvious cash option probably on the entire slate, if that is the case, at 5.9% showing us right now, probably because we have no idea what's happening here. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, so I think we need to keep an eye on this Dan Arnold situation, obviously, because if he is involved, Matt, that's going to take me off of a guy like Jacob Hollister.
Sure.
If he's out, yeah, Hollister at 1K, ran routes on 93% of his offensive snaps that he played on Sunday. So it is definitely something to keep an eye on. If Dan Arnold is out, Jacob Hollister is a guy that I would be locking in for cash. If Dan Arnold's in, I think he obviously takes that top pass catching tight end role from Jacob Hollister. He would obviously be that guy. We saw him not heavily involved, but he was involved in that offense in Carolina before getting traded. He saw pretty consistent targets there to start the year from Sam Darnold, 3, 4, and 4, which for a tight end, not that bad.
Definitely not bad.
But at 4,400, if he is in play or if he is playing, I'm off of him. But yeah, keep an eye on Jacob Hollister, because if Dan Arnold's out, that's definitely a guy that you can go to in cash.
If you guys don't hear anything from me, make sure to spam our DMs on Twitter. Make sure to call me on my phone, text me, whatever you need to do to make sure you're getting that information. I will pin and post in the YouTube comment section, guys. Don't worry. Kicker, Josh Lambo's out. Thank goodness, because he's been absolutely horrible for us this entire season. I don't know what's going on there. Hopefully he carries some ownership. There's an edge. Don't play Josh Lambo. He is not playing in week 4. I don't know who's kicking. Could be Trevor Lawrence at this point. I don't even know who the backup is. Defense, don't play the Jaguars unless you do anticipate on it being very low scoring, which could happen. Jaguars could force some turnovers there, but I probably won't have them in my GPP player pool. Did I do well on keeping the bias out there? I think we're ready to switch over to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, you were fine.
Joe Burrow's going to light us up, 43.6%. TJ, is he cash viable?
Yes, play Joe Burrow.
Yep. Switching.
You guys have given up the 4th most yards in terms of defense and the 5th most passing yards in terms of defense. I just want to let you know that. That's it. That's all I wanted to let you know.
Thanks. Running back situation here. It's going to be Joe Mixon. He's a beast. Or has been at least 11K, 44.5%. Is that right? He's carrying higher ownership than Joe Burrow. We have Chris Evans, who really doesn't play that much at $1,600, and Pirine at 8.7%, TJ. So who are you considering from this roster? I think Joe Mixon is the obvious choice here, yes?
Yes, play Joe Mixon. Okay. If Jacksonville is playing from behind, Matt, and the Bengals are up,
yes,
you're going to see a heavy dose of Joe Mixon.
That's probably what's going to happen, right?
Play Joe Burrow. Play Joe Mixon. 29 carries against Minnesota week 1. I know it's come down a little bit. They've been in, it was more of a competitive game against Chicago. Chicago and Pittsburgh, 2 tough teams to run on. He looked good against Pittsburgh, actually. So yes, play Joe Mixon. I'm assuming playing Chris Evans, not playing Samaje Perine.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm assuming, for at least for season-long fantasy football, if people aren't watching these matchups, I'm going to go probably try to trade for Joe Mixon, because I just realized that those are 2 back-to-back really tough.
He's been an absolute cowbell,
workhorse,
horse work. Been a wagon.
Yeah,
Gets a lot of the work.
Let's move over to the wide receiver picture, because we have an injury here with T. Higgins. He's officially ruled out. Thank goodness we got that information before tomorrow. Was showing ownership at 34.3%. Not anymore. Jamar Chase is showing the not the highest, 33.1% owned at 10.2K. But what a beast he has been without T. Higgins in general, and just even when T. Higgins has been playing. That's a very high price. Like, we have Tyler Boyd at $7,400. Then we have a couple of these other bench guys, Mike Thomas and Auden Tate. We also have some snap counts on these guys. I'll just go ahead and read them while I'm here. Auden Tate played 57% of the snaps without T. Higgins on the field. And then we also have Mike Thomas, who played 21%. So really, if you look at that in comparison, TJ, to these price tags, Mike Thomas, $600, and then Auden Tate at $400. We joke all the time whenever we do these videos, but they literally have to get over 1 fantasy point for this to make sense in terms of their value. Auden Tate's smash value with what was it, 1 reception last game? Yep. Yes. 2.4 points. So who's your favorite out of this wide receiver core without T. Higgins?
Well, in terms of value, it would obviously be Auden Tate there at $400. Like you talked about, he played 57% of the offensive snaps last week. Whenever they went 3 wide, he was that 3rd guy with Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase. I'm going to do whatever I can to get Jamar Chase at 10-2. I think I'm going to have a lot of builds, or I think if I'm playing cash, Matt, I want Joe Burrow, I want Joe Mixon, I want Jamar Chase. Like, those are the 3 guys that I'm going to prioritize. Sorry, Amanda's back and she's laughing at me.
Already. So you're under pressure. It's all good.
Yeah, always. I'm going to preference. You said preference, but I'm going to prioritize. Cal Bell, Bell Cal. Jamar Chase for sure at 10-2. That's what I want to try and go to. Tyler Boyd does make sense, though, as a paydown spot here at 7,400. I think if you're trying to get both quarterbacks and then Joe Mixon, like, it's going to be really hard to get Jamar Chase in there as well. So I think that's probably why the ownership is a little bit higher on a guy like Tyler Boyd, because you're saving almost $3,000. The target share from last week was pretty similar. But again, I think Jamar Chase would be that guy that I'd be looking to get. But if I'm landing on Tyler Boyd, I'm okay with it as well. I think both are cash viable.
I completely agree with everything you said. In terms of cash, though, if you're looking to save salary, I think Auden Tate's your most obvious option outside of Hollister if he does play without Dan Arnold. All right. Last but not least, we have the tight end picture here. Uzma, 12% owned. Do you have any kind of interest here in the tight end picture?
No, I honestly don't. Uzma,
GPPs.
Drew Sample. Yeah, their GPP plays at that. No,
they didn't really rely on their tight ends that much in the passing game. At least that's what it seems like here through the first couple weeks. And how do you blame them there with Jamar Chase being the beast? Kicker, yes, always consider this kicker. I don't even know who this is kicking for him. This guy, sure. Yeah, he's cool. If you're looking for a last piece, always a cheap piece here, $3,800. And then we have PrizePicks, TJ. If you guys haven't signed up for PrizePicks, first of all, what are you doing? Enter code using DGF for 100% matchup to $100. You simply hit the over or under on any certain fantasy point projection or prop. I believe TJ is going to look at a prop. I don't know. He usually loves the props here. We have rush yards, receiving yards, receptions, passing touchdowns, touchdown. They have everything under the sun, not only for NFL, but I'm just looking up here. They have trucks props. I didn't even know that was a thing. They have cricket. If you're into that, they have all kinds of sports up here at the top. They have absolutely everything for every fantasy sports fan out there. Let's focus on this game, TJ, though. We have a couple players up here. My favorite pick, though, is going to be the cheapest on DraftKings of the 3 wide receivers for Jacksonville. DJ Chark just seems very low, passes the eye test here, 11.5 points, and he's hit it 2 of the 3 times. The one time being against Denver, he didn't. I think this is another game script that really favors him, hitting that over. Again, we expect these guys to be throwing a lot. Jacksonville throws the most in the NFL. And rightfully so, because they suck. 11.5 over there for DJ Chark. You like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like mine a little bit better.
Okay. Who do you like?
Okay. I am going with Joe Burrow over 249.5 passing yards, Matt. I talked about how terrible the secondary has been so far, giving up the fifth most passing yards to opposing quarterbacks. So far, Matt, they've given up 291 yards to Tyrod Taylor in game 1. 328 yards to Teddy Bridgewater in game 2, and then 316 yards to Kyler Murray in game 3. If this game stays somewhat competitive and Cincinnati relies on Joe Burrow late into that second half, I love the over here. I think he goes north of 300 yards in a competitive game. So Joe Burrow over 249.5 pass yards, give me the over.
And it should be close enough for him to do that. 249.5, yes, I do like that over as well. Yep. Again, guys, enter code using DGF for 100% matchup to $100. And that will end our video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this content. If you did, please do hit that subscription button, notification bell, and of course, smash that like button for all of our future NFL content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your night, and let's cash.
Love you guys. Good luck.